And we're with Devlin Robinson, who is one of two Republicans running for the Republican nomination in the June 2nd primary in the 37th Senatorial District. Devlin, nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, John.
This is a very interesting district. The 37th Senatorial stretches from the Mon Valley across the South Hills into the western suburbs and the airport, then across the river up into the Quaker Valley. It must be an interesting district to campaign in during the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, that's true. From east to west, it's just about a 30 to 45-minute drive to get from one corner of the district to the other, out in Findlay and Sewickley, all the way out to Jefferson Hills. It's trying at times to make all the events.
I'm sure it is, especially when it's hard to, when there's a pandemic going on. So let me ask you, Devlin, a lot of folks may not know who you are. Give us that 60-second elevator speech. Who is Devlin Robinson?
Sure. I grew up in Brookline. I went to Central Catholic High School. I graduated in June of 2001, and I enlisted in the Marine Corps in July of 2001. I was home to see the events of September 11th and immediately changed my contract to the infantry. I saw combat during the invasion of Iraq in 2003. I went to Afghanistan at the end of 03 through 04 to get the historic elections. And then I went back for Fallujah at the end of my enlistment. I got out, moved back home. I started a business in 2006 called Veterans Medical Technology, and have been doing that ever since. That has allowed me the opportunity to get a bachelor's degree from Robert Morris, an MBA from the University of Pittsburgh, Cath School of Business. And it also allowed me a lot of time to devote to helping out other Republican campaigns in the South Hills. And I also volunteer at Semper Fi Odyssey with Major General Tom Jones and returning veterans transitioning into civilian life.
Well, first, thank you, sir, for your service. Always appreciated. Let me ask you about your company. Tell me a little bit about your medical company.
Veterans Medical Technology, it started in 2006, and it started leasing lasers for kidney stones and BPH. And we leased lasers throughout all of Western Pennsylvania and Western New York, a little bit into Northern West Virginia as well. It has grown into supplying operating room supplies. We've done drapes, we've done table covers, scissors, forceps, you name it. So right now we've been, I have a whole catalog of urological equipment for lease and for sale.
So the military side of this is the fact that it's owned by a military guy. I mean, you provide supplies to all kinds of hospitals, not just the VA.
Correct.
Yeah, good. Well, Devin, let me ask you, you do not have, I assume you've not held any elected government positions in the past?
I have not.
Is that an asset to you?
I think so. I think it, I'm truly a voice of the people. I haven't been tainted by government. So I can bring that voice to Harrisburg.
The real question that every candidate needs to be asked is, I mean, you're a successful businessman, you've got a company. Why in the world do you want to be a state senator?
Well, I think being a veteran and being in business for myself and working with a lot of veterans, I've seen that government has really left a lot of people behind. And I think that, in Western Pennsylvania, we need a strong voice that's going to trumpet our causes here in Western Pennsylvania for the Wolf administration in Harrisburg.
You mean, you don't mean for the Wolf administration, do you mean
to the Wolf administration?
Yeah, right. I think a lot of people may not realize that this is a district, the 37th Senatorial, currently represented by a Democrat. Senator Pam Iovino, who is also a military veteran. Do you think this district has traditionally been Republican? Do you think that this is just a sort of an aberration to have a Democrat represent you? How did that happen?
Well, the people chose their candidate. It was a binary choice between Pam Iovino and Raja, and the people of the 37th district voted for Pam Iovino. So I'm looking to come out with a different message and see if the people of the 37th district appreciate that message.
Well, of course, now before you can get to Pam Iovino, you've got to defeat Sewickley Borough Council President Jeff Neff. Why should Republicans support you over Mr. Neff?
Well, John, I have the experience. I have the experience as a small business owner. I have this experience serving in the military, which is what a lot of these, a lot of the constituents of the 37th district hold to be values. And I have the education with, you know, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I have a lot of experience in the nonprofit world, in the volunteering with veterans as well.
Mm-hmm. And what is your argument to fellow Republicans about why you would be a stronger candidate against Senator Iovino?
Well, again, my experience in the business world has shown that I'm able to take those concerns that our constituents here in the South Hills and the Quaker Valley area would like to be taken up in Harrisburg. You know, as we're kind of fighting the COVID pandemic right now, those small businesses don't really have much of a voice in Harrisburg. And I'll be the person that will be there to bring their voice to the forefront.
I was looking on your webpage and I noticed that one of the positions that you take that might be a defining issue between you and Senator Iovino is you state very clearly that you are a pro-life candidate. Can you articulate that? What does that mean to you?
I am pro-life. You know, I think that the first thing that we have to do is establish a culture in the 37th district that respects life. People on both sides of the aisle can get behind that idea.
What does that mean, though, in terms of legislation in Harrisburg right now? Do you think we have enough legislation in this arena, or would you do something differently if you're the state senator?
I'm not in Harrisburg, so I don't know what legislation is being brought up on this issue. I know that I will champion a pro-life cause.
And then you also note that you are pro-Second Amendment. Is that a distinction between you and your opponent, either in the Republican primary or Senator Iovino?
Senator Iovino has said that she wants to outlaw assault weapons. She called them machine guns, which they are not automatic weapons. A machine gun is typically an automatic weapon, which is already illegal. An AR-15 is really just another semi-automatic weapon. It's used in some mass killings, mass murders, as I think that they should be called. But we also see that handguns actually account for 10 times the amount of murders that assault weapons have been used for.
So you're critical of her position, which would be to, as you describe it, to outlaw the ARs and a variety of other weapons.
Yes.
All right. Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Robinson, if I can. Let me give you 30 seconds. Make your pitch. Why should Republicans in the 37th senatorial vote for you on June 2nd, or frankly, right now by mail?
Republicans should vote for me because I'm the one that holds their values true. I'm the one that's going to take your values into the halls of Harrisburg. I grew up here in the South Hills. I joined the Marine Corps. And fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I moved back to the South Hills in order to start my civilian life and to start a business. And I've been doing that ever since. I've devoted most of my life to the community through different various organizations, like the International Rotary and numerous veterans organizations to help transitioning veterans come back the way that I did and lead a successful life afterwards. I'm a small business advocate. During the COVID pandemic, I've been supporting as many businesses as I've been able to. And I've also used my own funds to get much needed N95 masks and distribute them throughout the South Hills to all the fire departments in the area. So I'm the person that doesn't run away from conflict. I'm a person that runs towards it. I find solutions and I work towards those solutions. And that's what I'm going to be as your next state senator.
Hi, I'm John Delano, political editor at KDKA TV. Our guest today is Jeff Neff, who is a candidate, a Republican candidate in a contested Republican primary in the 37th senatorial district. The incumbent is a Democrat, Senator Pam Iovino, and one of the two Republicans who wins on June 2nd will take her on in the November election. Jeff, welcome. It's good to be with you.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
I take it you are at home.
I am in my home office. Yes, sir.
And how tough has it been to campaign in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, the unfortunate part is that most of the people know me. I'm a people person. I'm very social. I love to be out with the public, knocking on doors, talking to people. So when the restrictions came in for the last 8 weeks, it's made it a little bit tough for us to get my normal message out face to face. But we're handling it in different situations with digital media.
Well, I think most people in the 37th senatorial district probably do not know either you or your Republican challenger. So give me your elevator speech. Who is Jeff Neff?
Well, Jeff Neff is a kid that grew up very poor, very young, lost my dad at 10 years old. He committed suicide, so I grew up very fast. I've worked hard through my life, volunteered for over the last 40 years in this community. From being a camp counselor, I was a volunteer firefighter for 28 years with Cochran Hose Company. I was their fire chief for 15 of those years. I joined their council 5 years ago, and I've been their council president for a little over the last 2 years. I coach all the youth sports in town. I coach youth football, youth wrestling, and youth baseball as well. So I'm a community servant. That's pretty much sums me up.
I don't know that you mentioned the community. Is this Sewickley, right?
Yes, sir. Sewickley Borough. Raised here most of my life. I moved here when I was 9, and I've been here for over 40 years now. So yeah, Sewickley Borough.
And, you know, it sounds to me, well, what is your full-time position? It's not as the chief of the fire department is a part-time volunteer thing, right?
That's correct. The fire department here in Sewickley Borough is all volunteer. They are professional, just like the paid guys are, but they do not get paid for it. They're volunteers. My professional job is I'm actually a project manager. I manage some of the properties and projects for some of the most prominent people in Western Pennsylvania.
And why do you want to be a state senator?
Well, that's a great question. I wasn't looking to get on this avenue right away. I thought I was a little bit young for it, but I met a great group of people 1 year ago at a conferee. We went against Raja. A few of us were against Raja looking for a run at this Senate race. Some people had asked me if I'd be interested. They found out what I'd done in my life. Thought that I was a good fit to go to Harrisburg and actually represent the people. They felt that there needed to be a change. So I did go to the conferee process, not expecting to win. But boy, I got an overwhelming surprise from a lot of those people afterwards. Just wanted to meet me, talk to me, and they all asked the same question. Jeff Neff, where have you been all these years? We've needed somebody like you for a long time. So unfortunately, when Raja lost the race to Miss Iovino, Faith and I, my wife, made a decision right away. We were going to go run here in 2020 and try to get the Senate seat for the 37th and represent the people.
You know, you do have a Republican opponent. Are there any particular issues that separate you in this Republican primary?
Sure. My Republican opponent, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I've talked to him a few times, but when it comes down to it, I want to talk about what I've done in my life and what I've accomplished. I've actually reduced taxes in Sewickley Borough. I've actually helped reduce the government and restructure staff here. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I have kids. I have 2 kids. I understand what pro-life means. Pro-Second Amendment. I'm a gun owner. I like to shoot. I like to hunt, and I'm a supporter of it. I have proof and a proven track record, which I just don't feel that my opponent quite has that yet. I think he will do that in the next few years, and I'd be happy to see him later on. But I think right now it's time for Jeff Neff to go to Harrisburg and correct some of these problems.
He points to both his military service, his military training, and the fact that he started a small business successfully.
Yes, sir. Highly respect that. Respect all of our service members as well that have served in their avenue of going across the seas and defending our country. Highly respect that. We all have our freedoms because of that. Just keep in mind, I served our community here in our country for 28 years as a firefighter, 15 of those as an incident commander. I was also president of the Allegheny County Chiefs Association. I was chairman of the Allegheny County Advisory Board. I have a lot of experience of leading people, not necessarily just following along. I like to be out front, holding their hands and leading them in the right direction.
Do you think the fact, Jeff, that you are an elected official, does that give you any advantages or special abilities to serve in Harrisburg?
Yeah, I definitely think it does, John. When you look at our track record here in Sewickley, we've done a great job. This borough was not in great shape 5 years ago when I got on council. And I didn't do it by myself. I did it with 8 other people, Democrats and Republicans, working across the line to actually get this borough out of debt and to actually build reserves and cut taxes at the same time. We've done amazing things here in Sewickley. And with that experience, even though it's on a smaller scale, I can size that up to any scale, whether that's a state level or a national level. And my honestly, John, as a project manager, I come in under budget and ahead of schedule on every project. That's just my nature. I like to work that way, and I think I can do that in Harrisburg as well.
You do come from the Quaker Valley, and this district stretches all the way through the western suburbs, the South Hills, over to the Mon River. Does that make a difference? Your opponent is from the South Hills, from Bridgeville, Char Valley area.
John, that's a great question. I think that's the biggest asset to my campaign is we haven't had a senator out of the North in the 37th for a very long time. And I feel that people in this area know me so well that the Republican candidate can actually win this area. Back in 2015, when I ran for council, I ran against a Democrat opponent. I won 58 to 42%. It was a 16-point spread in my ward, which is actually heavy Democrat. I think the people know outside, it doesn't matter what my party registration is. I get along with everybody. So when it comes to voting time in November, I can pull the votes from both sides. People know I care about them, not their party.
Are there particular reasons why you would be a stronger candidate against Senator Iovino than your opponent?
Boy, I'll tell you, John, I'm sure Miss Iovino's a nice person. I just haven't heard a whole lot of what she's been doing in Harrisburg. There's not a whole big track record of great success in Harrisburg with what she's doing. I think she's been on the public payroll for a long time. I highly respect her military service in the Navy. I think that is great. She's collected a lot of paychecks from the government. I'm not looking to collect a paycheck from the government. I'm looking to actually go serve the people. So I do think I stand up to qualification-wise. I stand up better against Pam Iovino than my opponent.
You say you're not going to collect a paycheck? Are you saying you're not going to take the salary as a state senator?
No, I did not. I did not say I would not take a state salary from there. But I do have some great ideas, and I do think that the legislature can get back. I am willing, and I've made this statement publicly, I'm willing to put every expense in my Senate office online without a right to know request. It'll be out there, from everything from our salaries at the top all the way down to the box of paper clips that are bought in any of my offices. Also, I won't take the leased car. I won't take the cell phone that Harrisburg's offered. I'll see what the other perks are. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to turn down, John. I just don't need it. I have a career. I think our forefathers, when they set this up, it wasn't meant to be a permanent job for 30 years. These guys should have had jobs outside of being a senator. And I think we could do both. I think that I can still handle having a project management position, probably have to scale it back maybe a little bit, but do that and be a senator at the same time. And if we can do that and go across the board, I think we can cut a lot of expenses, whether that is part of the salary or definitely a lot of these perks that the people in Harrisburg get.
You're a challenger in the Republican primary. Devlin Robinson has really stated on his website and in interviews with me that he is very strongly pro-life and pro-Second Amendment. You've repeated those same positions. Is there any difference between the two of you on those issues?
Sure. Yeah, I can tell you that in my personal experience that I have two boys, and they are God's greatest gift to me. And I believe life happens at conception, all the way through birth and all the way through death. I am definitely the pro-life candidate, and I have two boys to prove it, and two boys that show me why I'm pro-life and why I enjoy it. Pro-Second Amendment, they're not going to find another Senate candidate out there. And we get recommended by different organizations, but I can tell you that there's one of the organizations endorsed only me for this primary, which is unusual because they do know that when it comes to pro-Second Amendment, I will be standing beside them. I've spent days in Harrisburg during the hearings that they've had the last couple of months ago. I sat beside those guys. I didn't just talk about it. I actually walked the walk, John. So pro-Second Amendment, none of the other candidates are going to compete with me on that one.
And then finally, Mr. Neff, if I can ask you, you got, say, 30 seconds now to make your pitch. Talk to the Republican voters in the 37th senatorial. Why should they cast their vote for you on June 2nd or even right now as people are voting by mail?
I love the fact that the Republican voters are smart, and I think they are realizing right now that the government that we're dealing with right now is not what they want. They don't want establishment candidates, and I am not. I'm not the one that's bought by Harrisburg. I'm not receiving Harrisburg money like other people are. I'm earning it my way. My wife, Faith, and I have put a lot of money into this campaign to show the people that we want to represent them. I have great ideas to take to Harrisburg. I have a lot of success in my personal life, my professional life, and my volunteer life. And I think that resonates with the Republican voters here in the 37th district. And I think it resonates with the Democrat voters come November as well. They just want an honest person to go to Harrisburg and actually represent them. And that is Jeff Neff. Jeff Neff will represent the people of the 37th. Please visit my website, jeffneff.com, for additional information as well.
Councilman Jeff Neff, candidate for the state Senate and the 37th senatorial. Thank you, sir, very much for being with me.
Thank you, John. I greatly appreciate your time.
I want to know who we're running from.
I do not know.
If you go outside the law,